The return of one of our favorites. They call him Sweet Hands Plant, Caleb Plant, returning to defend his WBA interim super middleweight championship. Also on the card, Jermall Charlo. Are they doing this to book them against each other later this year? We shall see. For now, though, let us say hello to our old friend Caleb Plant, and I stress old friend because we do go way back, Caleb and I. He may not remember this. It wasn't very impactful in his life, but it still means something to me. Caleb, how are you? Are you doing okay?
Man, doing well, brother. Appreciate you having me on.
You remember the first time we met, right?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Wow.
I'm just playing, bro.
It's one of the all-time worst moments of my life, certainly as a broadcaster. One of the most
we were trying to dap it up.
Well, we have the footage, Caleb, and actually I think that I was in the right and you were in the wrong, because like I went in there and then you pulled back. You know what I mean? Why'd you pull back on me? And look at this. Here I am. I'm ready to go. I lock eyes with you.
Follow through on the end though, right here.
What happened? What happened?
You didn't follow through.
I thought that
slow-mo. Did we got slow-mo?
You pulled back on me.
No.
No?
Bro and Pierce had it right. But
yeah, they did. It's all right. Well, you know what? I appreciate it. It made me feel like you wanted that connection with me, but I just wasn't ready for it.
In due time.
By the way, what about the fact that you do all these interviews with all these shoes behind you, just sort of like rubbing it in everyone's face that you have all these shoes and we don't? Look at this. Wow. How many you have there? That is a setup and a half. Yo, wow. To the ceiling, What's the prize possession? Like, what's the number one right there?
I got some 1985 Air Jordan 1s, Chicago, and I got some 1985 Bred 1s, and that's the year that, the Air Jordan 1 was invented in 1985. So I'd say those are probably my two top.
Now, wait a second. When you say 1985, so obviously they've made these a million times. Are you talking about like produced in 1985?
Yeah. You want me to snag them?
Yes. Wow. How much were those?
A
couple G's?
Let me see.
You ever wear them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I respect that.
Come on, now.
Shoes are made to be worn, right? Oh, those are nice. Wow. Look at those. Now, did you get them pre-worn? Had they been worn before?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, you do thrift shops?
Nah, these ain't no thrift shops for sure. But I got them online for some people who sell all the vintage stuff.
Aren't you gonna be wearing Jordans this weekend?
Yep, I'm wearing the Bred 1s in my fight I got with the surgeon. And me and him been putting together some nice boxing shoes. I've done the Freddy Krueger dunks, I've done the What the dunks, I've done the Kobe Girl dads, and now we're doing the Bred 1s. So
those are
I feel like
sick.
It's kind of changed the fight game, really, at least in boxing. I feel like everybody's wearing sneaker boxing shoes now. So I feel like we were one of the first to get it going.
So what do you do? So you work with him and he designs those specifically for you. Those are one-of-ones?
Yeah, one-on-ones. Yep.
Wow.
Get it to match my fit.
I love that. I'm a big SB guy. You have any SBs? These are my favorites. See, I know you're not quite on my level as far as the shoes, but I have the Della Sols. You know the Della Sols?
Yeah, those are sharp.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know that I roll like this, Caleb. You think I'm just some honky tonk. I'm not,
Nice. Yeah, I got quite a few dunks too.
Those are my favorites, but I love everything about the style. I love what you're doing, and I love the fact that you're in action. I love the fact that this is in pay-per-view, that people could watch it. Sometimes we put these fights, I say we, I'm not a part of it, but behind the paywall, not enough people are able to see it. My one gripe, and I know you've been asked about it all the time, sometimes, and I feel like this has become a theme this year in boxing, it's like, hey, let's have these guys fight, and then they'll fight later down the line. But we just saw, like, look in Times Square, what happened a couple weeks ago. Oh, Devin and Ryan are going to fight, and then somehow something bad happens that kind of screws it up. Now, they may fight in the end, but I just feel like if we're on the same card, like, give the people what they want. You wanted it, right? You wanted to fight Charlo. He didn't want to fight.
Yeah, well, just to speak to a little more on the topic, I will say this has been happening in boxing for
100%.
years and years. I mean, 10s and 20s and 30s of years. Like, it's been going on since way back. Two guys get on a card, main event, co-main, and then they run it after that. Now, as of recent, there has been some, some mishaps. You spoke to the Ryan and the Devin situation, and I did want to go right into the Charlo fight, but obviously he's been inactive for a little bit, and he wanted to get active and get a tune-up fight or whatever you want to call it. And I felt like this was my fastest way to a big fight that I really wanted. At the time, Canelo and Skull were busy. Munguia was busy with Bruno. Edgar Berlanga don't want to fight, so I can't force his hand. And so Munguia was busy, I think I said. So this was my fastest way to a big fight, so I did what I had to do.
I saw Berlanga mention you. You commented on it. Crowd goes mild. He tried to get the crowd to start chanting your name. He is fighting.
And the crowd went mild when he tried to do that, didn't
it? Yeah. No, that's what I said. It was a great caption on your part. He is fighting in July against Hamza Shiraz. Are you saying he doesn't want to fight you specifically, even though he said that in the ring?
Yeah, I think it's more for just promo.
Okay.
My manager has reached out to his manager, and we wanted to do something. I think it was late in late July, and now here he is fighting in late July anyways, I believe. So, as of now, though, I got a big fight on my hands, and sure, I'm not too focused on him. So, like I said, if he wants to be part of the witness protection program and don't want to fight, I can't force his hand.
When you did the press conference recently, and you're standing literally right next to Charlo, and we know about the history between, was there any sort of awkwardness? I think you guys spoke to each other, right? You exchanged some words. Was there any sort of tension, anything like that?
No tension, at least on my end, because, I'm focused on the task at hand. I don't need to be wrapped up in what he's got going on or doing or saying, but he did want to lean over and say something to me, and I wanted him to know that I had no problem approaching him and, hearing what he's got to say. So I'll keep what he said between me and him, but
okay,
we definitely got unfinished business. So
I was literally just going to ask you, what did he say to you? But
I know.
No. Why is it personal, private?
Just leave it between me and him.
Okay.
When the bell rings, everybody will get to see what we got to say with these right here.
Yeah.
And until this fight is over, I don't want to get into anything that's got to do with him, because that's not where my attention and my focus needs to be.
Is it annoying? Because I would imagine you're doing media leading up to this fight. Everyone is going to ask you about him. Everyone has asked you about him. Does it get annoying because you are fighting a tough guy?
I mean, it comes with the territory. I've been doing this for a long time, and I expected going into this camp and into this fight, knowing that people are not purposely trying to knock me off my mark or distract me or anything. But I've come prepared, and me and my dad's talked to me a long time about focusing on the task at hand, and you focus on the next fight, and you may not even win the one that you're in now if you don't focus. So I knew this was going to happen, but I'm not going to let anybody knock me off my mark. You guys are doing your job, asking me the questions, but I'm doing my job as the athlete and as a competitor to stay focused.
By the way, you're at home right now, right?
Yeah.
This fight's in Vegas. Are you going to stay home the entire week, or will you move?
We'll see. I'm not going to give away the secret sauce.
Okay.
But there's some good fight energy at the hotel, but it's nice and relaxing at the crib. So we'll see. No comment.
Okay. No, I was just, some fighters love being in the hotel because it puts them in that space. Some just, hey, if I could be at home, I could be with my family, I could be comfortable. Why not? You've got the young daughter. She is great. That video you posted of her holding the belt, incredible, would melt anyone's heart. And you have another coming up, I think, in the summertime, right? Your wife is pregnant?
Yes, sir. End of June, early July, I got a son on the way, and there's Charlie right there holding the belt. And she's in the gym with me all the time, watching me sparring, asking me, telling me she wants to spar, and running around hitting the bags. And so it's been great to see her, kind of take to some of the boxing that I've been doing. I don't necessarily want her to be a professional fighter, but if she wanted to get some amateur fights and train, obviously I'd be all for that. I think that's good for anybody. But I see her, hopefully, she says she wants to be a country music star.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like your pal Jelly Roll.
Like my buddy, yeah.
You guys go way back, right? Like you knew him as a teenager.
I won't say as a teenager, but I knew him when he was sleeping on my buddy's couch back in Tennessee, and back when he was still just rapping. And he made a pivot in his career, but still on the same path. And you know, I couldn't be more happy for him. He's on top of the world right now, and um, just to see him come from rags to riches and everything he's had to go through to get where he's at, and now him and his wife are on top of the world. You know, it don't get no better than that. So.
Yeah, somewhat similar to your story, and I won't ask you to rehash your whole life story. I know it's fight week and you don't want to open that, but your dad was kind of the one that opened the door for you to get into fighting, combat sports. And so when you talk about your kids, if they do say, "Hey, we want to follow in your footsteps," now that you're in a much different position, you know, the way you're living, the money, you know, you guys grew up in a tough spot. Would you try to deter them against it, or would you be open to, you know?
I wouldn't, you know, I'm not going to press it upon them, but I wouldn't deter them either. You know, I'm not
Okay.
going to deter my children from whatever dreams they have and whatever their path they want to go down. I'm going to fully support them and have their back, push them along, help them, teach them. And, you know, if it's not meant for them, it'll work out anyways, right? I won't have to take it from them if it's not something that's in their heart. They'll wind up following a different path anyways. So I'm not going to be the type of dad that deter my children from their dreams.
One thing that the casual fan may not know, we love all combat sports here. You used to kickbox back in the day, and then you chose to go all in on boxing. Ultimately,
Yeah.
did you make that decision because there was way more money in America in boxing as opposed to kickboxing? Still in America, you can't really make a great living unless you go overseas, or was there another reason?
Yeah, that was a big reason. All I wanted to do was fight. So I knew if I did kickboxing that I'd probably have to get another job, and balancing a full-time job and trying to be a full-time fighter can be, you know, difficult if you can't, you know, be able to provide for your family. So at 17, I had my last kickboxing match, and I knew years before that I was just wanted to be a pro boxer, but I was kind of not falling out of love with kickboxing, but felt like I'd accomplished so much as an amateur that I was ready to just focus on boxing. And I felt like the talent pool was deeper, and being a competitor like I am, you know, that invigorated me. Like, oh man, these guys are even better. I want to see if I can make it to the top of this now. Because, you know, in kickboxing, I have 5 world titles and 9 national titles. And just felt like I wanted to be Roy Jones, you know, at the time, really like watching all his highlights. And like I said, I didn't want to do anything else. So yeah, that was a big factor.
So you're returning this weekend, and it's such a fascinating time in the sport of boxing. As you know, you don't need me to tell you, with all the fights being made and obviously the Riyadh season and whatnot. But PBC is a little bit on the outside of that. They're not partaking as much as, you know, the Matchrooms and the Queensberries and the top ranks to a degree. How do you feel about the state of what's going on right now, and where PBC sits in all of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great time. A lot of big fights have been getting made. You know, I feel like I'm a front runner on that as far as like you know, getting big fights made and hopefully encouraging other people in the sport to put their best foot forward on fighting the best. And then as far as PBC, you know, I'm happy with how things are going for me. You know, I've been able to get all the big fights that I want. You know, I've been able to, you know, be able to provide for my family. And you know, these next 2 fights on my list are no different. You know, I'm going to be staying busy. I'm fighting twice this year. 2 fights that 2 fights that are good for me, especially at the end of the year, a big fight that I want. And, you know, I'm happy with my pockets. So
That second fight that you're talking about is Charlo, right?
yeah.
Is
You
that
know, so long as he handles his business.
so? Is it one of those where if he slips, the fight's off? Like if he loses, because sometimes it's like, because we may still get Haney and Garcia. How do you feel?
I mean, I can't say for sure. I haven't really thought past May 31st, honestly. And
Okay.
I definitely haven't given it too much thought on if Charlo wins or loses. And uh, again, that's between him and Thomas Lamana. You know, they got to figure that out. It's my job to go in May 31st to get my hand raised in impressive fashion. And it's his job to go out there and try and do the same. And if he does, then we have a fight. And if not, then, you know, we'll figure something out. I'm not sure. I haven't thought that far.
Can I ask, just because you know Canelo Crawford, you give Crawford a shot?
I'll give him a shot. You know, I don't know who wins, and obviously there's weight classes for a reason, right? But at the same time, you know, Terence is a special person, special ability, special mental fortitude, special strength. And you know, you can't put too much past Terence Crawford, especially once he got his mind made up and really wants it. So we'll see. I think both have things that fall in their favor, but that's what makes this so interesting, right? That's why everybody's going to tune in to see what's going to happen. And, you know, when it's two special fighters like this, I think it's most fair to just let the bell ring and let them handle it.
Sure. Canelo's last performance was historically one, maybe not for the record books, right? Like in terms of the output and the action. What do you make of the state of his career right now in terms of like what we're seeing out of him? Do you think, given what we've seen as of late, this could be the last one? There's nothing left to do?
Well, I know he's got like a 4-fight deal.
Sure.
That was
But he could walk away, right?
Yeah, I mean, he could, you know. So we'll see. I can't say for sure. I feel like he was really at his peak when me and him fought,
Yes.
you know, for Undisputed at 68. And I kind of figured that the Skull Canelo fight was going to go that way because, you know, I've heard Canelo say in interviews, like, I don't like to fight people who just run around the whole time. And I know that Skull, seeing some of his fights and knowing he's a Cuban, was just going to be on his bike the whole night, moving around. And, you know, at this point in his career, Canelo may not be interested in changing gears and, you know, trying to really get to him. But at the same time, Skull's got really good footwork and, you know, it's a lot easier said than done, you know, cutting the ring off on somebody like that. So, but I feel like this Crawford Canelo matchup will be a lot more fan friendly. Buzz not just going to be running around the ring for 12 rounds. I can assure you that that's not in his blood, and obviously not Canelo's either. So I think it's going to be a fan friendly fight.
For those that are unfamiliar with Armando Resendiz, your opponent this weekend, 15-2, 11 knockouts. What are you expecting from him?
You know, this is a big moment for him. So, you know, I've said this in a lot of interviews leading up to this, to now that, you know, I remember what it was like for me coming up and having a big moment like this and how much it meant to me and how hard I worked for it. And, you know, I'm assuming that he's coming with the same mindset and mentality. So he has to be taken serious. And, you know, he stopped Jarrett Hurd at 160. Now he's moved up to 68 and got a win there and looking to come and take my interim title. And so I know he's tough. I know he's coming to lay it all on the line, but my skills are far superior, and there's levels of this. And the experience that I've had facing all the world champions I fought, Canelo, David Benavidez, former 2-time world champ, Anthony Durrell, former 2-time world champ, Jose Uzcategui, world champ, Caleb Truax, former world champ. You know, even Porky Medina was a tough competitor, you know, a tough title eliminator. So I feel like all that experience will be a major key in this fight. And I've had a great camp. I'm super focused, super locked in, and I'm going to step on them.
You look to be in incredible shape. You stole the show the last time you fought on that Canelo card back in September. You always bring, you're one of the most exciting fighters in the game. Love the fact that you're the main event this weekend. You deserve that. Looking forward to it. Appreciate the time on Fight Week, Caleb. Thank you so much. I'll give you the...
Appreciate it. We'll work on that.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck, my man. All the best. Thank you.
Brother, peace. Thank you.
There he is, Caleb Plant, joining us. If you have yet to see him fight for whatever reason, do check him out. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.